This week on Red Dead Radio, we're going to PAX.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Hi, friends. Welcome to Red Dead Radio, the Red Dead Redemption podcast. I'm your host, Jared Penny, and as always, we're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest.
We're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest. We're going straight to the Wild Wild Guest. Yeah!
I will never not be freaked out when you do it that fast.
Really?
Not ever. I never get used to how intense you are.
Do you think I need to slow it down? Like me?
No. You do you, man.
Could NPR it up a little bit, like, hi, friends. Welcome to Red Dead
Oh,
Radio.
I like that. Hi. This episode of Red Dead Radio brought to you by Whole Foods. I'm Terry Gross.
Perfect. Yeah, the Capitol Steps turned that into like a song once.
No.
Yeah, they just took the NPR theme. It was beautiful. All right, well, we're off to a start right here.
A start.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, we want to thank our Patreon producers, Austin Riley, Jonathan, and ye old Tom Bach. Thank you so much for making this show possible.
Wait,
really
is your legal name ye old Tom Bach?
No, Tom Bach is a legend in the Patreon producer community. He's a Patreon producer of Kind of Funny Games as well.
As a heathen who spends zero time on Patreon, I'm an Indiegogo man when it comes to funding my healthcare needs.
Okay, well, I'm not at all going to mock that because
because that's the state of the world that we're in.
Well, not only that, but do you remember actually?
I do. Yeah,
Ryan Palmer and Chris Abbott put one together to help me.
Yeah,
changed my life.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. You could totally cut that. That was super rude.
It was not rude at all. It was one of the most pleasant surprises I've ever.
Oh no! I mean, it was an incredibly kind gesture, but also like I feel like that was an unintentional diss.
Literally changed my life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, you were trying to diss the poor state of healthcare and financing it.
Yes,
not,
the deplorable
not
state
kind people
of
who help
the American
each other.
healthcare system.
Yeah.
Help us, please.
All right, friends, we're a couple of minutes in. Let's talk about Red Dead Radio. First off, a little change to the show from the news this week. We start talking about news. We're going to start covering GTA Online stuff as well. Why?
Oh, there's a lot of it. Well,
It's
made by the same folk.
It's made by the same
folks.
I've got this sneaking suspicion that these two ecosystems are going to be largely interdependent. I expect a common currency.
Really?
I do. I think shark cards are going to work for both, at the very least. I think that there will be events to drive you from one game to the other. I think there'll be cross-promotion.
There has been Red Dead stuff already pinged back and forth in GTA Online, so I could see it. I don't necessarily know if I share that level of not skepticism or optimism. Jesus.
Optimism is important. That's like glasses half full and half empty at exactly the same.
It's just
proportion.
an empty glass.
Yeah, that's for it. Optimism.
It's full of air.
I like it. But yeah,
I can see that. I think respectfully, I do have to disagree. I feel like the two will have similarities, but I don't think, at least at first, I don't think we'll see an immediate connection between the two.
Well, I don't think we'll see a cross. I'm not expecting to see John Marston running around GTA 5. What I mean is that I don't even think they're going to have like a shared universe. What I think is that they will lean into, hey, we're having an event this week on Red Dead Online.
Gotcha.
But also on GTA Online,
on a strictly
they'll try to
mechanical
drive.
level.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure that there will be cross promotion in that respect, but I don't think your GTA bucks will turn into Wild West dollars.
I think that at the very least you'll be able to cash in your cards one for the other. I think they'll allow you to share.
I mean, I think if someone gifts you, I feel like that's for sure a possibility. Like having it be Rockstar bucks instead of GTA money or bag dollars, because I assume it's just going to be a bag with a dollar sign.
Is that how it's going to be? Just like bag dollars? I like bag dollars. That's articulate.
Bag dollars.
Bag dollars.
I got me 1,700 bag dollars.
Bilbo bag dollars.
I feel like
one day.
I feel like the only reason that is probably not going to be the case is just because the way money works in Red Dead, like the money in the Old West is way more valuable than it is today.
Okay.
Like the fact, so like the After Hours update just came out. Big update. Super cool. If you haven't delved back into GTA Online in a while, definitely pick up a controller, hop in, hang out with Tony Prince, buy yourself a nightclub. But like the nightclubs in that cost, like for a fully tricked out one, that's like $5 million. And for like the bestest horse in the West, that's like $100.
Well, I don't think it's going to be like a 1-to-1 conversion rate.
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Though. It's like, what would that look like then?
I don't know. I think that you might find some clever ways to address it. I think there might be an exchange system. There might be a
currency exchange.
No, or
welcome to the funnest part of Red Dead Online: going to the bank and not robbing it.
Okay, you know what? Red Dead Online is actually robbing the bank. You're robbing people in line while they're waiting to exchange their currency.
God,
you heard it here first. Well, anyway, we're occasionally going to do news about that when something big happens. Something big happened this week, and John, your life has been consumed by it by the last couple of days.
I mean, not entirely consumed, but I've definitely spent a fair bit of time in the new update, and yeah, I mean, like I was saying, it's a massive update that we've seen. I think it's their biggest one since, or like aside from the Doomsday Heist, which if you haven't played, you absolutely fucking should because it's delightful. But yeah, so it's this really neat thing where there's a bunch of the whole premise is that in order to bring the opportunity arises to bring all of your illicit businesses under one roof.
Okay.
So when was the last time you played GTA Online, Jim?
That's been a bit.
Okay. What was the last thing you remember doing?
Okay. So I've been in Red Dead Land for a few. Oh, well, I mean, I've certainly done Heist, but I've played since then.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
So you've been around for like some of the business updates. So
yeah. I mean, I've driven my cars through the sky and all that fun stuff.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, Flying DeLorean still hands down the best update to GTA. I will never drive anything but it ever. But so you've got all these businesses that you can have and operate, and essentially they sort of boil down to you accruing goods or materials to make goods. You producing those goods like for the biker gangs one, you can have a bunch of different businesses. You can have like a meth lab or a weed farm or like mine. I say no to drugs. So I have fake ID.
Okay.
So I say no to drugs, but yes to lying to the government because they lie to you.
You heard it here first.
But the thing that's sort of been plaguing me, especially since the Doomsday Heist, where you had to essentially buy a huge underground, like ex-CIA bunker.
Yeah.
Is that to do those missions, to run your import-export crew, to run your gun running crew, to run your biker gangs, you had to physically go to all of the places that you potentially had. And like my biker gang headquarters is all the way out in fucking Grand Sonora Desert.
Right.
Whereas almost all of my other businesses are pretty centrally located in downtown Los Santos. And, it's not that I mind, but it's like really convenient now because what the After Hours update does is it lets you condense all of those into one business.
So it's a quality of life update.
It really is, but it's also new missions, new characters, new items, new mechanics. So if you've played GTA 4 or the DLC for GTA 4, The Ballad of Gay Tony,
right.
Tony Prince is back.
Yep.
And I mean, he was the nightlife king of Liberty City in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Made some bad financial decisions, kind of got himself nixed out of city life for a while, and not unrightly so. But
it's interesting seeing Tony back.
I like seeing Tony back. Because, I mean, this is, we've seen other characters from GTA 4 pop up in GTA 5, like Packy McCreary's around. I'm still waiting on Roman Bellic.
Yeah,
I'm waiting on Roman Bellic to show up like on vacation,
just
and
like
for him to just start calling me Nico, like Nico, it's me, oh God, or like for him to always be on the phone with Nico, just constantly saying Nico, it's me, your cousin.
That'd be beautiful. I really hope that happens.
I'm here in Los Santos. You should come. We go bowling.
I got this image of him sitting on the beach, just in a chair, unannounced.
Oh, yeah, with like one of those big ass '80s cell phones.
Be amazing.
Oh,
actually,
so
I didn't mention this. I should put footage of this up, but I had a real life GTA moment the other day.
Did you steal someone's car?
No, but I was down at Santa Cruz, and I was just looking out over the beach. It was a crowded public beach, and then from imagine my eyes are a frame of a screen.
Yep.
And then just from off the frame, a full size, not like light, but a super heavy tank like bulldozer just rolls in right through the middle of this crowded beach. Hundreds of people, and through the middle of it comes a bulldozer just
hitting people.
No, but the angle that it was at, it looked like it was going to smash,
plowing
and then
through
just
them.
plows through, and then out the other side, and I was like, "Am I playing GTA?" And then it popped out. Yeah,
that's insanity.
Yeah,
it
was fun.
Madness. I'm glad the GTA is bleeding over into real life.
Or the combine on the beach in San Andreas was always my favorite.
Oh God!
You remember you could get the combine on the beach if you just got it over that one hump.
I do.
Well, that's it.
I mean, my bad thing in GTA 5 is just anything on the beach, because I really like the way that umbrellas look when they're spinning off of my hood.
Okay.
Anyways, so it's a way to condense all of your businesses, but it also brings back characters like Tony Prince is in it. Laszlo's featured pretty heavily.
Okay.
Depending on what your opinion of Laszlo is, that's either a good or a bad thing.
I was once in a waiting room with Laszlo. That was an interesting day.
That must have been
He was fascinating.
Good fascinating or bad fascinating?
Good fascinating.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because like sometimes you see someone who's like fascinating in the sense of like, oh my God, you've worked in this industry that's super crazy for a long, long time. I bet your life is fascinating.
He was very friendly.
Or you see a dude who's got, like a midlife crisis ponytail and
he was real nice.
Okay,
like
good.
him.
That's the bad kind of fascinating.
Yeah.
So anyways, Laszlo's back. I think for me, sometimes seeing Laszlo all the time when I go back into my club, I'm just like, I wish I could make my bouncers kick you out. But it's great because like you'll see him like trying to fit in with all the young club kids who show up, doing his DJ thing. He's got like a bunch of glow sticks. He's always high on ecstasy. The pinnacle of midlife crisis. It's quite delightful.
Ecstasy and glow sticks?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, look, if you're really looking to feel like a kid again, but you have zero idea how, try ecstasy.
I just decided,
don't do that.
For
Don't
a midlife
try
crisis,
ecstasy.
I just decided to make podcasts for a living.
See, that's the good kind. Podcasts are your ecstasy.
There we go.
Congratulations.
Podcasts are my ecstasy.
There you go. Find you a hobby that feels like doing ecstasy, but without all the horrific psychotropic side effects.
All right, so I think that gives anything else from this update that we want to make sure we cover.
Yeah, there's lots. There's so the whole thing is like, since you own a nightclub, they're introducing DJs. And these are real world DJs, which I think is a really cool choice. Like, it was something that they super didn't have to do. Like, they could have very easily just like licensed somebody else's music and then made an in-game DJ.
Oh, will Alana be in there?
That'd be tight if friend of the show Alana Pierce would show up.
Indeed.
But not this time.
Show
it seems
Alana
like.
Pierce show up.
No, so for example, this week the first DJ that we meet is Solomon, who is, I think he's Swedish.
Okay.
And he does a lot of house music, some electronica, and the idea is basically that like as your nightclub gets more and more popular, you can get different acts to come to Los Santos and play your shows. And basically there's going to be 4 of them added over the course of the next month. Mm-hmm. So like this week was Solomon, next week is, I think, Tales of Us, who's a duo DJ set. And the other ones are Dixon and the Black Madonna.
Okay.
They're all super cool. Like, their music is really interesting. It's super rad. It's just like a cool fucking thing.
Yeah, just a neat thing to have.
It's neat too because like they all have their own unique missions. Like all of the DJs came and did like voice acting for it, and I think they did original music.
Well, I mean, Rockstar likes music. I mean, their games especially have always had good music, and especially since Vice City have practically been defined by their soundtracks.
I mean, we're getting a new radio station at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's super fun. Like, there's a bit where like Solomon like has to land a crashing plane, and it's just like he's making fun of Tony and Laszlo.
Okay.
For a bit. And there's so we're gonna see a bunch of that kind of stuff and a bunch of new missions. And yeah, I mean, even if you've played pretty regularly, like here and there, or if it's been a long time since you've jumped into GTA Online, give it a shot. Like, it's super fun.
So that's what
if you like. So for example, I know people here at the office who haven't
at YeOldIGN
at YeOldIGN.com, where you can see a bunch of great GTA Online content and a bunch of great Red Dead Redemption 2 content and Red Dead Redemption 1 content. Anyways, there's a bunch of folks here who haven't really played a whole lot, definitely not as much as I have over the last few years, like since GTA Online kind of launched. And like, I'm the same way with games like The Division, for example. And it is a completely different experience than it was when you first jumped in, or even when you jumped in a year ago.
Oh yeah, once they went Hot Wheels cars in the sky, it was pretty much.
Yeah, the stunt races and all that stuff was a really great sort of, not shark jumping because it didn't become bad, but it was just super ridiculous, and I loved it.
And they've kind of leaned into that. It's become an ecosystem. Great. It's become its own little world.
Yeah,
which is, I think, is what they always wanted there, right?
I hope
so. Playground.
I hope that where they're at now is the fruition of their dreams.
Yay!
Hope y'all are happy, Rockstar.
Moving on.
You did great.
Moving on to the next news for the day. We're headed to PAX.
We
are headed to PAX.
They let us in, those suckers.
So kind to them. So thank you first off to the good folks putting together the Penny Arcade Expo. But at PAX West, formerly known as PAX Prime.
PAX Prime.
Red.
I kind of missed that title.
What's that?
PAX Prime.
PAX Prime?
It just sounds cool.
PAX Prime.
Like, I get it. Like, there's a PAX for everyone now, which I think is amazing.
Yeah.
But I also mix, like, PAX Prime.
Prime. Well, Prime is just fun. Optimus Prime.
Right.
Yeah,
you say it like Optimus Prime. Just Prime.
Prime timeline.
That's real good. Anyways.
No. Red Dead Radio Live. That's right. So if you want to come watch an episode of Red Dead Radio, be part of an episode
I'll probably do
of
that.
Red Dead Radio.
I'll make a lot of really, really terrible mistakes with the words that come out of my mouth.
John Ryan's going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
I'm going to be there. Special unannounced guest panelists are going to be there.
Who are they?
I'm not saying they're unannounced, but we'll have the news for you
I
soon.
thought I could have got you on that one.
When can you watch it? You can watch it at the when can you watch it? Is Saturday, September 1st, 11 a.m. That's Saturday, September
so
1st.
early.
11 a.m. Don't discourage them.
No, please go. Come
Sasquatch
check
Theater
it out.
at PAX.
Sasquatch Theater with the Sasquatch?
Oh, that's where you can have a Red Dead. It's got to be at the Sasquatch.
It's perfect. Oh, that means I have to kill the theater, though.
Oh, don't kill the theater.
Okay.
Please don't kill the theater. There are the audience. We need
I killed
you.
every one of them damn Sasquatches.
But yeah, if you're going to
finish
PAX,
the job.
we really hope that you stop by. And pretty excited. I think there may very well be some neat things to give away as part of that.
You can have me.
Last piece of news.
Last piece.
For today is some news out of ye old GameSpot.com. Red Dead Redemption 2 strategy guides revealed, including a collector's edition.
Oh my!
Yes, indeed. This from GameSpot. Eddie McCook. Red Dead Redemption 2 is expected to be a very big game with lots to see, do, and explore. So it may be good news for some to learn that there will be an official guidebook for the game that developer Rockstar says is, quote, packed with information about every aspect of the title. The guide will be published by Piggyback, which is the company that previously made guidebooks for games like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Metal Gear Solid 5, and various Assassin's Creed games. There are two versions of the Red Dead Redemption 2 official guide. You can purchase the Standard Edition and the Collector's Edition.
Ooh, what's the Collector's Edition?
Ooh, both contain essential information about every single mission, character, and feature of the game, but the Collector's Edition comes with, quote, superior quality paper, end quote, and
fancy papes.
a character art gallery, not included,
That's great.
with a standard version. Both arrive alongside the game on October 26.
Cool.
John Ryan, I used to write guides for a living.
I still do write guides for a living.
Do write guides for a living. You have written guides for how long now?
Oh, God, like 8 years at this point. Probably longer if I count the ones that I wrote for my friends back home.
You wrote a huge portion of the GTA 5 guide. You've written guides for
I still write huge portions of the GTA 5 guide.
As we were just discussing. So, new physical guide coming out. I appreciate and enjoy guide
Yeah,
books.
I'm super into it. I think a lot of folks around the ye old IGN office were kind of expecting me to be like, at it. But I always like a good physical guidebook. I think it's something that, much like the collector's edition for the game itself, the collector's edition of the guide, or even the standard edition of the guide, it's the difference between being like, okay, how do I kill this boss, blah 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 blah, or like having something physically like with you as a part of your journey through the game.
A sort of a touchstone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more enjoyable experience to my mind. Like when I was playing through some Fallout 4, for example, I would use their guide because there's so much in that game. And I would really find a lot of pleasure in like doing a thing so many times, getting incredibly frustrated, and then like having that moment that like I feel like not Martin Brody. Is it Martin Brody?
I don't know.
Marcus Brody in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just expected you to know who I was talking about.
Yeah, I was like, who's
Martin Brody's
Brody?
the sheriff in Jaws.
Yeah. No, you're talking about Marcus Brody.
I'm talking about Marcus Brody, the doddering fool friend in Indiana Jones.
I know the way.
Exactly. Indy! And I feel like there were plenty of moments where he would like be befuddled by something and angrily get up to a library shelf and tear something off the shelf and flip through it until he found it, and then like in a harumphing state like sat down and went back to it. And that's kind of how I feel using physical guides, and there's something really pleasurable about that.
There is. I agree. I like to study them often after I finish the game. I like to sit and just read through them, and it's almost like a trip back through something I really enjoyed.
As a guide writer, I'm always fascinated by how other people choose to tell those stories. The challenge that I feel like you always kind of run into writing a guide, especially with not necessarily games like GTA or Red Dead or big open world games like that in Assassin's Creed, the challenge for those kinds of games are like, how am I going to cover all of this? So my heart honestly does go out to the guys over at Piggyback, because that is a massive, massive undertaking.
Yeah.
But the thing that's always difficult for me is figuring out, like, Call of Duty is the hardest guide for me to write, for example. Not because it's an incredibly challenging game, but it's just how many different ways can I write? Run down a hallway, shoot the man, turn a corner, shoot the man.
You get good at synonyms in guide writing.
You really, really do.
That I remember well.
Yeah. And
I've written Call of Duty guide once.
Right?
Call of Duty Ghosts.
Oh, yeah,
that mission where you're just walking
sorry.
around like this.
I didn't play that one. You had to do the guide for that. I didn't touch that piece of shit.
What's your favorite physical guide of all time?
My favorite physical guide of all time?
Yeah, like one you actually just kind of like reading.
I
have fond memories.
I love the Fallout 4 guide. I think the Fallout 4 guide is one of the most beautifully put together guides. I don't think it's the best written guide.
But it feels nice, like it's well constructed.
It is I don't know if it's the fancy edition or not. I think it is. It is a really gorgeous. Like I'm very much a minimalist when it comes to books. Like I'm always the guy that tears off the paper jacket just so I have like the flat cover and then the title on the binder. And the Fallout guide looks great in that respect. It's just straight up like a nice black, soft, matte cover. Decent page thickness. A lot of cool art, a lot of great imagery.
So you just like that book is an artifact thing.
I like that book. I appreciate the way it is aesthetically put together.
Now, let's talk about the other end of this for a second. So
what is the best written guide I've ever seen?
No, not that at all. So obviously very interested in this. Honestly, probably going to get it. I don't think I'll grab the collector's edition because
I might. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not usually an art book guy, but I know some people love it. I love art, but I'm not usually an art book buyer because they're big, and I end up putting them on my shelf, reading them once, and then not looking at them again.
There are some cases where it actually comes in handy to have the art book or the lore book or whatever. So, for example, the Witcher tabletop RPG is coming out soon, which I am 100% going to play.
Yeah.
And I highly advise any of you tabletop fans also get in on that because it's going to be good. But one of the best things that I'm so glad I ever got was the giant, big The World of the Witcher lore book, because I was just like, how am I going to run these games? I don't know the lore that super well, aside from what I can read in the Witcher 3 Bestiary, which I'm not going to jump into a Witcher 3 game every time I have a question about something.
But now you've got this big,
wonderful encyclopedic tome. So once in a while, they do actually come in handy again.
Yeah.
Or just like there's a great couple of coffee table books out there. Like we have The Art of Halo sitting in the entryway to IGN. And like, I'll be goddamned if it's not beautiful.
That is a lovely book. I like the MGS5 one an awful lot. It's not the guide, but the
I don't
MGS
know if I've
art
seen
book.
that.
But before we divert too much down this, I also want to talk about the other end of guides, which is that while it's really awesome they're releasing a guide, you don't have to buy guides to get guides.
No, I mean, hi, I'm John Ryan. I'll be writing a guide for Red Dead Redemption 2 on IGN.com that you can come and use. And I feel like the thing on that front is that there's two very different functions for each of those things. And I sort of explained it a little bit earlier, but like there are folks who are going to buy the guide, either the standard edition or the collector's version, as a collector's item, as a physical piece of memorabilia for the time that they played this game.
Yeah.
And then there are the folks who just need to find what one of the cheat codes is. Mm-hmm. Or they're stuck on one treasure map that they just can't fucking... Not that I had any problems with treasure maps in the last game.
Yeah.
That they just can't find. Like, you did the spaceship parts for GTA 5. You know how hellishly difficult to find those goddamn things are.
Those did take a while.
Yeah. And like, much as you love to dive in and say, I'm going to find all these collectibles on my own, sometimes you just can't fucking have the patience.
Speaking of dive in, remember looking for those undersea caches of cash?
I do.
Yeah, there's that too.
But on the upside, remember when those used to be an exploit that you could use to get infinite money in GTA 5?
I do remember that.
Sorry, kids, they actually patched that out pretty quickly, so you can't do that
Liked
anymore.
it back then. It was
Loved
rad.
It back then.
Before we knew how to game the stock market.
I think that was one of the first tip/cheat videos we actually had come out for that game.
That's rad.
Because it took us 2.5 fucking weeks to figure out any cheats for it. Anyways, you don't necessarily have to buy the physical version of the strategy guide. I feel like there are very different reasons that you would and that you wouldn't.
Yeah.
IGN guides, for example, ours are really, really focused on you finding super specific information quickly and easily. In terms of, assuming that they'll bring back treasure maps, like if you're looking for treasure map 3 or the one in this location, like our guides are designed, for example, for you to punch that into Google or onto IGN.com and to just be like, oh, there it is right there. That's the thing that I needed. I'm immediately going to put my phone down and go back to playing the game.
Yeah.
Because, when I play through a game, certain games, like sometimes I don't like feeling like I have to find everything on my own. Sometimes, like for The Witcher, for example, I love The Witcher 3. I think The Witcher 3 is probably the best RPG of the decade, if not maybe all time. I really love it a lot. It's very, very good.
That's a bold move there, Tom.
I also missed a lot of the ones from the early and mid 90s, though. So I can't, I'm a new gamer.
Still, Witcher 3 is superb. Everybody agrees.
It's phenomenal. Anyways, finding all 16 of those goddamn, Witcher armor set things to get the Bear School gear boots with the extra 6 points of damage or whatever the hell it did. Like, that was the thing where I was just like, okay, I found the part of the treasure map that'll let me start the quest. Where the fuck is this goddamn chest?
Yeah.
Because it was like 60 hours in, I was like, I have to find Ciri. I have to do the thing. I just want to be done with the main story so I can go back and do side quests. Time
to check the guide.
Time to check the guide, exactly. Yep. So I think in those moments, those are the folks who are going to not necessarily feel the need to purchase a physical item. But I think if you're the kind of person who really, really wants to dive into the world more and really make the experience of playing through a game like this for the first time memorable, that's sort of when you go through the guide. Like, I feel like that's, in a lot of cases, sort of why, like Prima, Brady, I think they're the same company now, why those are still a thing. Like, a lot of them are come out as collector's editions.
Yeah, you just want to have that, like this one. So we're on the trail, friends. And since we're on the trail...
Oh, boy, we're on that trail.
We are on the trail. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the first real kind of milestone of the original Red Dead Redemption.
You started playing Red Dead Online again.
No, we haven't done that yet. We're going to get there.
I'm there already.
All right, so...
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Where have you guys gotten to?
Well, okay, spoilers. First off, I just finished my replay. I'm not going to tell everybody about that. Don't worry.
All right.
There are no actual spoilers coming outside of people that are playing along, which this week we were playing up to, hey, let's get to the assault on Fort Mercer.
Oh, rad. I love that part. That's such a good part.
You love that part?
I do. I love that bit. That's super fun where you get on the Gatling.
Yeah.
So good.
So Fort Mercer is just this kind of, they make it impregnable. Like
they really do.
When I first played Red Dead, I was like, I'm going to sneak into Fort Mercer and kill Bill Williamson.
No, you're not.
No, they really did figure out just how. I'm sure there's some way to stack 6 horses on top of each other and fall in there and break the game.
No,
but
it's Cougars. You have to stack the Cougars.
You have to stack the Cougars, clip through something. Obviously, you can get it later because they put the convenient little box you can climb up onto.
Thank God for those guys moving those supply crates who just abandoned their post.
Yeah, it's like, but for a while there, you can't get in. You know you got to get
because
to Bill.
you want to have that big set piece, memorable fight.
Right.
You want to have that moment where like you pull out the Gatling gun and you're like, all right, Bill, get fucked.
Yeah, because you've gathered this weird. Because a lot of the first part of that game is, I forgot how bizarre everyone John meets is. So you've got Seth, you've got West, you've got Irish, and then just all these highly dysfunctional human beings that you're doing tasks for, and then you bring them all together in one mission that kind of suddenly makes sense.
But then it ultimately doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because Bill gets away anyway.
Well, so, that's kind of what I love about that sequence.
Yeah.
To be honest, and like the whole first chunk of that game. If you've seen me on here before, you know that I've played the opening of that game too many fucking times to count at this point. But what I really like about that part is that, like, to get to the assault on Fort Mercer, they build it. They build it up and they build it up and they build it up and they build it up to be this huge important thing. And like you pull that gun out and like you get ready to get through those gates and you fucking know you were gonna make Bill Williamson eat your shit.
Well, they finally handed you a freaking Gatling gun. At this point in the game, you haven't gotten to, and I am here in my big Trojan horse wagon. I have been waiting for this moment. I'm ready to move because at this point, you've been playing a long time. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to see because you've seen these sections of the map that are walled off.
Yeah.
You know those magical bridges are going to appear.
I'm going to get there.
I'm going to get there. But first, you got to get there. And then he goes full Josie Wales.
So the assault on Fort Mercer.
Yeah.
It's rad because, like, you get that Gatling gun moment. You get to, like, just go fucking nuts on all of Bill's gang members.
And you really do feel powerful. You feel, I mean, it's a shooting gallery, but it's a fun shooting gallery.
Oh, it super is. But it's also one of those moments where I really love, I was saying this a minute ago, like, what I love about it is you've built and built and built to this moment, and just sort of for it to turn into a fart in the breeze, where it's like, oh, shit, he got away.
Yeah, you do this climactic, explosive thing. You blast everybody away, then you literally room to room going through the fort. Gotta find Bill. Then people from outside come running in, and you turn the Gatling gun around, and then it's like, Bill's gone.
But by the way, you fucked up.
Yeah.
Which I think is super funny because of how, I'll say, anticlimactic. You'll get to this later, but how anticlimactic Bill's end himself is.
Yeah. They do that a lot. They subvert those expectations a great deal. I mean, you expect Fort Mercer to be the climax, but that's not the moment everybody remembers. It's what happens when you go after Bill. It's the subdued crossing into Mexico immediately
it's
after
that moment.
This.
Well, I mean, that was also a super important moment, sort of in, like, the history of gaming, because it was one of the first times, like, you could appreciate good worldcraft beforehand. Like, there were games that made beautiful worlds, and there were games that had good scores, and there were games that had both. But this was one of the first times where, I feel anyways, I was really sort of taken aback by the grandeur and the splendor of the world that I was in. And of course now, I'm not to say that it's a dime a dozen in a bad sense, but, like, now you can get that in a lot of games. Previously, it was sort of, you could have good, fun gameplay mechanics, or you could have a big, gorgeous world. And Rockstar was one of the few companies that, at the time, they had the resources to do both.
Yeah, and then you end up, and that'll be our topic for next week's On the Trail, which is talking about crossing into Mexico. But
fantastic.
I do love You Don't Catch Bill. Why do you think, John, that they set it up so that you don't just catch Bill there and then go after Javier in Mexico? Why have him get away after all that? I've wondered about that a lot. I feel like it serves the story better that he does, but I'm not sure why.
I feel like it's because you need to have that moment. Because when they introduce Bill to you, like, yes, he's big, yes, he's mean, yes, he's a real sumbitch, and yes, he gets the better of you. But, you get from looking at and listening to Bill that he's a dumbass. And, like, regardless of whether it was just an instance of bad luck or whether you were distracted, that dumbass still got the better of you.
Yeah.
And that makes that moment at Fort Mercer when you're like, what? How the fuck did he get away? Like,
even though it's outside of your control.
Right. It's not a mistake that you make as a player, and it's not a mistake that John makes as a character. Sometimes it just be like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's sort of something that is really good to set up and really hammer home the sort of hardness of life in this world.
Yeah.
That no matter how well prepared you are, no matter how good your plan is, no matter how strong your forces are, shit just sometimes don't go the way you expect.
Which is kind of the theme of the Old West, historically and storytelling-wise.
Exactly.
It's a place of hopes that never quite turn out the way you think they're going to.
Right.
Yeah.
And so having Bill get away, like, first off, there's that to it where it's like, hey, don't forget, like, this world will kick you in the nuts at every possible opportunity that it has. And also, it's sort of to make not you question John's capability, but to sort of sow those seeds of self-doubt that are clearly plaguing him as a character.
Yeah.
And just, I feel like that's a great way. Having your character fail at something is a great way to make you, regardless of how empathetic you are as a person in real life, it's a great way to make you empathize with the character within a game or within a story.
It also helps bridge because after you cross into Mexico, you suddenly discover that while you've gotten very comfortable as John and begun to feel very powerful in that world, you immediately encounter a person who shows you, no, by the way, you know nothing.
Oh yeah,
I will make you a true gunfighter. And that's
Landon
coming off of failure. makes that much more palatable.
Exactly. Where it's like, okay, I got my ass handed to me. Maybe I can do this on my own. Oh, wait, this dude's going to help me. What's up, Mr. Ricketts?
So Bill, we've talked about Bill before. Bill's prominently featured in the section of the Red Dead 2 you played.
Not played, saw.
Or, pardon me, section of the game that you saw played.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, he is. And he is... It's nice to know that some things never change. The thing about Bill is just sort of that. Like what we see of Bill in Red Dead 1 at Fort Mercer, both in the beginning when you first meet him, where he tells you, send someone more impressive. It's cool to see sort of the ties to that moment appearing and being very present clearly throughout Red Dead 2. You see why Bill might have, obviously we didn't see any real interaction between Bill and John, but like we saw why Bill has resentment towards other people in that gang. Yep. Clearly something happens between the two of them throughout the course of whether or not we see it in Red Dead 2 or whether it happens after. I assume that we will see it in 2. Clearly something happens that makes their relationship extra hostile.
Yeah.
But it's also very clear that you can draw a straight line from watching Bill and Arthur argue about whose fault it being that, like, what the consequences of shit getting fucked up. Mm-hmm. So, for example, what I'm talking about in this situation is there's a moment where Bill Williamson and then a couple of other members of your gang ask you to go on a heist to rob the bank of this town, Valentine, in this New Hanover area. And Arthur's excuse says, he's kind of hemming and hawing. He doesn't really want to do it. And then Bill is upset because he thinks Arthur owes him money, basically, because Arthur was somehow at fault for a previous heist.
Yeah.
And Bill is upset naturally because, as folks who are often the brunt of people's jokes, when they see it happen to other people, it's a very different situation.
Yeah.
So Arthur, Bill makes the point, and not necessarily unjustly. How come every time I mess something goes wrong for me, I'm the village idiot, I'm the dumbass, it's always my fault. Oh, Bill, no, fuck him. But when it goes wrong for you, Arthur, he's saying to Arthur, it's just one of them things.
Yeah.
And seeing that sort of like broiling resentment in Bill, where it's clearly not out there yet, like he's defending himself, he's airing his grievances, but he clearly isn't at the point where he just actively hates people in the gang.
Yeah.
You can see how he goes from being that guy in 2 into the sort of brutish tyrant that we meet at the beginning of 1.
Right.
And who sees it's really important for John to understand, you're not good enough for me to deal with. You're beneath me because I'm finally the one on top.
I've started to notice, revisiting Red Dead, that Bill, obviously kind of dumb and a brick and brutish, Dutch, obviously out there, completely deranged, man of lost vision. John, who I really like in a lot of ways, does kind of have a lot of Boba Fett moments.
Boba Fett moments in the sense that he's just standing there looking cool, and then, or Boba Fett
and
moments
getting
in the sense
played and falling in the Sarlacc pit.
Then he gets hit with a stick and flies himself into a goddamn monster mouth.
That seems to happen to him a lot in the game. I'm starting to notice. I'd forgotten how many times John just gets screwed over. This is a game about from Bill getting away to Bill shooting John. John's like, I'm
Bill
here
shooting
to
John to Bill getting
shoots
away.
into Bill. Somebody, it's eventually crows take all his corn. I mean, it's just a bad
bunch of guys
him.
just being like, oh, hey, that thing that we just told you to go do, you didn't do it right, so now you have to do 5 more things for us.
Poor John.
Yeah, poor. But here's the question, though. Did he earn it? And I kind of think he did. I do not expect to like John Marston nearly as much as I liked John Marston at the end of Red Dead 1 when I finished Red Dead 2.
Yeah, I'm worried about that, too.
I'm not worried about it. I'm fucking excited.
I'm excited, too.
I love learning why I should hate people. That sounds... No. That sounds way pettier.
Oh, no, we got to stop the camera.
Oh, okay.
We're going to run out of time.
I'm gonna pick that up when we come back. Because that sounds way pettier than it should. I think what I mean by that is I really love seeing what makes people the way they are as we know them.
Okay.
So, like, Dutch, for example, at the end of Red Dead 2, I'm trying not to spoil a whole lot of story stuff for you, but, like, the way that Dutch operates in Red Dead 1, he has recruited a bunch of young, impressionable dudes, and they acknowledge the fact that he's just sort of been doing that since the gang disbanded.
Yeah.
And now that what we know about him and the gang and how it functions, and like specifically thanks to his relationship that he has with Arthur, and the fact that Arthur was a street urchin that Dutch somehow managed to bring into the fold of the gang, like, we know now that this is essentially a pattern for him.
Yeah, that this is what he does.
Right. And it's funny to me because, like, sure, it's a fine business strategy, but I think because, look, man,
there's a place for you in San Francisco business.
Fagin had that shit down.
He did.
I think what's more interesting, though, is that when we look at sort of how Dutch behaves towards the end of the first game, when John brings to light the fact of, like, look, the world is changing, and if we want to survive, if we want to live through it, we have to learn how to adapt. We have to learn how to change.
Yeah.
And Dutch instead saying, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
I can't change.
I not only can't, I actively embrace the fact that I can't, and I choose to not want to do so.
Yeah.
And not only do we learn, like, sort of about his stubbornness and how, like, seeing that sort of reflected from a new angle now in the past, seeing the past in RDR2, but also sort of seeing what kind of a desperate man he is to have people around him.
Well, Dutch would rather live in a cave, literally live in a cave, than change with the world, but he also can't stand to do it by himself.
That's what and that's the part that I'm getting at, where, with all of the strength and the brilliance that he has, because he's a smart dude, he still can't manage to do it without being looked up to by people.
Yeah.
And I mean, ultimately, that sort of narcissism eventually becomes his undoing.
Do you think that's a desire to take somebody with him, or
like to drag someone down with him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it is.
No?
I think it is a desperate attempt for someone to save him. That's the sense that I get out of Dutch.
That's really cool. I wonder how much of this will get explored in this.
I feel like a lot of it. I feel like a lot. There's going to be a lot on that.
We're going to move on to Pony Express now.
Ooh, mailbags.
Got a couple of letters here from the mailbag. Greetings and salutations, Jared and friends.
Who's this from?
This one's from Evan Berry from Bermuda.
Evan Berry from Bermuda. Hot
yes, indeed.
Damn. I hope you're enjoying a horrendously warm summer.
Apart from replaying Red Dead 1, I've also been through all my Western and post-Western movies in anticipation of Red Dead 2.
Great.
Shane, Tombstone.
Shane!
And the Netflix series Godless, not Goddess.
I hear that's
Godless.
good.
I haven't watched it.
I hear it's good. I have not watched it either.
I also started going through all my favorite shows with Westerns themes and style that aren't necessarily traditional Westerns, mainly Trigun and Firefly. Trigun's an interesting choice.
Trigun is an interesting choice.
What is your favorite Western-inspired piece of media that doesn't quite fit the traditional Western style and formula? Really enjoying the podcast. Love you, Jared. Keep up your amazing work. Best wishes, Evan from Bermuda. Now, is that going to be RoboCop for you, which we've discussed before?
I mean, yeah, we've had this discussion before. Like, I love Firefly. I think it's great. But, like, I think the more and more I think about it, like, the RoboCop from 87, not the fucking new Cyber Policeman 2014. RoboCop 87 is very much, I'm going to clean this town up and there ain't room enough for the both of us.
Well, let's move outside of RoboCop since we've talked about that. Is there
I guess I can think of another one.
Yeah. Well, you're thinking a contemporary one for me is Justified, which is, it's not necessarily my favorite, but it's way up there for me. Justified is like...
That's what Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah, yeah.
I hear it's really good.
Yeah, it is. It's Timothy Oliphant and Walton Goggins and...
Walton Goggins?
Yeah. Oh, he's the other... He is the heart of the show.
I love Walton Goggins.
He is...
Like, I remember Walton Goggins on The Shield.
He is such a terrible human being.
Good. He's so good at that. He's so good at that.
So fascinating. Like, he's one of these villains that, like, you are a god-awful
That's
person.
a modern setting, right?
Yeah, it's set in eastern Kentucky, present day. West Virginia border, Kentucky.
All right, I
Virginia.
can get down with that.
It's Harlan County, USA, if you ever watched the great documentary. Oh, John, you got to watch that. That's...
okay.
But no, it's set in Harlan, USA, and it's a really solid series where you watch it and you're like, this is pretty good. And it's, there's some Freak of the Weekishness to it and some episodic. But but then you realize it's always building on arcs and it's very character driven, and you just get tied up in the lives of these two characters. It's based on an Elmore Leonard short story, Fire in the Hole, and just it's a Western. It's set in contemporary Kentucky, but it is from first frame to last a modern day Western.
All right, I'm into that.
And it's really, really great character driven stuff.
Cool. Love that.
What about you?
I mean, I feel like for non-RoboCop media properties, which I don't know why there are any. I mean, off the top of my head, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having trouble thinking of several. I think I've recently started rewatching Cowboy Bebop. And I'm really digging it.
Yeah.
Because the first time I watched that show, I was, fucking 19 and high all the time, so I have no real memory of it. But I really, really dig the way they put that show together.
Yeah.
And I feel like in terms of seeing it as sort of a modern day Western, like, yes, there's a lot of noir to it, but I feel like that core idea of the good guy finding a bad guy, having a nemesis out there, but never really knowing where they'll show up next. I really sort of just love that vibe, and I feel like it very much suits that sort of non-Western Western mentality.
Yeah, I love Bebop.
It's great.
I do. I know it's kind of, if you're going to be like favorite anime, and
I mean,
says
it's
Bebop,
it's not my favorite anime,
but it is really good stuff. And
it's great. It's legitimately great, and I'm like mad that I didn't really watch it before now.
It's fun to think about. That does have a very Western vibe. Champloo. I've never really thought about Champloo as a Western.
I feel like I think we're going to look at a lot of anime and be like, that's a Western. That's a Western. Or are we going to look at a lot of Westerns and say, that's an anime?
Yeah. And well, I mean, Japanese and Western filmmaking have gone hand in hand
back for
many decades. And so, but I hadn't.
You can pretty much thank Kurosawa for Star Wars.
Exactly. You can thank Kurosawa for Star Wars. You can thank Kurosawa for Magnificent Seven.
Well, you want a more direct comparison?
No, they're both. No, they're both direct. I mean, that little old man in Seven Samurai is Yoda. He just is.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's amazing. But I look at that connection, and I think about something like Champloo, where you've got these three characters just wandering from town to town.
Never seen that one.
Oh, so the same guy that did.
I don't know anime super well.
Okay,
it's one of my definite gaps in knowledge.
Samurai Champloo is what he went on to do after doing Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, cool.
And it's a story of two samurai that are sworn to a duel to the death.
Good.
But have to put it off.
Bummer.
Because they both owe a waitress a favor.
Cool.
And
that they have to complete together.
Before they can kill each other.
Great.
The three of them, the waitress and the two samurai, wander around Edo-era Japan.
Great.
Looking for this one dude. And it's just wandering from town to town, righting wrongs as they go.
Love it. Do they learn to respect each other and cancel their duel to the death as they go through their adventures?
I'm not sure you want to hear about that, because the Champloo...
Now I feel like they murder each other.
Every episode's pretty good. The last three, which are one long arc...
Of course.
...are bodacious.
As someone who appreciates the non-ironic use of the word bodacious, I will check that out.
Yeah, that most of it, you'll be like, this isn't quite as good as Bebop. Those last three episodes are every bit as good as Bebop.
All right,
cool.
I'm into that. I'll check that out.
And it's a short series. It's like 22 episodes.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm
still going to finish Bebop at this point. But
yeah, when you finish Bebop, watch... Oh, so you haven't seen the end of Bebop?
No. Are you okay?
The end of Bebop's real good.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Here we got the second one here. This one from Nathan. Hello, I've been loving
Nathan.
the show. I really like
thanks.
that we're getting tons of great coverage about the game and learning about interesting influences from all mediums. All I really want to see is you do your due diligence and remember that Red Dead Redemption 2 is technically the third game in the series. That's very true.
Yep.
I have extremely fond memories of playing that game a ton on my Xbox.
He's speaking, of course, about Red Dead Revolver.
Exactly, and playing a fair amount of couch co-op multiplayer. It'd be incredible to hear a segment dedicated to the game that started it all. You will not be disappointed, Nathan. Before Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out, there will absolutely be an episode about Red Dead Revolver.
The real problem is I just need to go and replay Red Dead Revolver.
Well, I have a copy if you'd like to replay it.
I would love to borrow that.
I might have...
Wait, what platform do you have?
The one I have is PS2.
I think I might actually still have a PS2 lying around somewhere.
I just got hold of one of the rarest and most precious of all items on the planet Earth.
A memory card for PS2?
A PlayStation 3 Gen 1 with the Emotion Engine chip in it. That's right, my friend. And HDMI PlayStation 2. The earliest PS3s could play PS2 games.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. Red Dead Radio is now canceled because I have to murder Jared Petty and steal this item from him.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry about the whole murder thing. Sorry, Angie.
No problem at all there. So, finally, my friends.
That's fucking awesome. I'm very excited about this. Holy shit.
We're gonna have to play
Holy
this.
shit, am I excited about
I
that.
think we're going to have to play some couch co-op ourselves.
Absolutely. Like, look,
Yeah.
I'm trying to drag you into Red Dead Online. Like, we'll do that eventually, but fucking couch co-op Red Dead Revolver. Hells to the yes.
We're
Also, all of the other PS2 games that we can play.
Together. Yeah, that's going to be so fun. All of them in glorious, up-resed HD.
Oh, God, we're going to play Ring of Red.
We're going to have
It's
a
gonna
lot
be
of fun.
perfect.
Definitely not playing Fanavision, but
No.
anything else.
No, we're not.
Sounds good. We're not playing the Bouncer.
No.
People keep trying to tell me why the Bouncer's great. I
don't even know what the fuck that game is.
So, normally this is where we do Luck of the Draw in the Red Dead Redemption Poker Tournament. But as you know, John has been defeated.
Here,
in
I don't
the
see
Red
any
Dead
other
Radio.
guests except for John fucking Marsden over there.
This is Red Dead Radio, the Red Dead Redemption podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to weigh in. Should John Ryan get another chance to play in the Red Dead Radio Poker Tournament? He's on here a lot.
You know the answer to
He's
this.
our spectacular expert on Red Dead, but he had his chance. It
expert. I don't know
does
if I'm
seem kind of
spectacular.
unfair for him to get more than one chance when everybody else
Does
only
it,
got one to be
though?
the champion.
But
So,
here's the thing. I get in fairness and all that, but I'm asking nicely. Can I please play again?
okay, there's a little Peter Venkman going on there. Just a little bit.
Damn it, you caught me.
Yeah, just a little bit of Venkman there. You
What
didn't
if I
say
say, please? And then I bat my eyes really hard like that?
Yeah.
No? All right.
So, you're going to decide. You can go to reddeadradio.com. That'll take you to our Patreon page. And on that Patreon page in the post, there's a poll. And that poll will say...
Is the poll up right now?
No, it's not up yet because this episode isn't
You
up
should have
yet.
just told me yes, and I would have made an ass of myself.
That would have been amazing. But no, you go to reddeadradio.com. That's our Patreon page. And there will be a post. Should John Ryan get to play again in the Red Dead Redemption Poker Tournament?
My life is in your hands.
Cast your vote there.
My life
Let
is
us
in
know.
your hands, dude.
Next week,
My life
we'll
is
read
in
the
your
results.
hands, dude.
My
My life is in your hands.
The life is in your hands.
My life is in your hands. My life is in your hands.
Shut up, Donnie.
I'm out of my element. So ends another week of nonsense.
So ends another week of nonsense. See you, friends.